7 days ago, on the last Tuesday, I ate my last meal. It was lunch. I was out with my dad, and I had no idea that I wasn't going to be eating for the next, or wasn't going to be, that I was going to be not eating for the next 7, and probably, as it's going to turn out, 8 days, but completely consuming juice and water only. And it's been completely fascinating. Most of all, I can survive for 7 days without eating anything at all. My body's got nutrients from juices made by that juicer back there, which is a very good juicer. If anybody wants details about it, let me know. But yeah, it's a good juicer. It works. It's a slow auger. It turns slowly. It's great for extracting the juice out, and yeah, I would totally recommend it or something like it. But yeah, at the moment I'm just feeling so clear, actually. I have been quite spacey, don't get me wrong. It's kind of an odd thing, because you're kind of, every so often you'll get, kind of hunger pangs, and there's no escaping food in the house. We've got 2 kids, 2 little kids as well. Now we're giving them kind of juices and such likes, and our oldest daughter has diabetes type 1, so she's on insulin and constant blood test or checks, blood glucose checks, and yeah, we're doing a juice feast. We're going to do it for 3 days, and then go on to smoothies or just kind of raw for a couple of days, and then back into 3 days of juice, followed by 2 of smoothies and 2 of raw, and then into another one of juice, and just kind of doing this through July. And we've got a whole thing, I'll put a link in, I've got a whole thing on the family page that I'm part of, the Weekland Torrents, and we get up to different things throughout the course of the year. We're dancing and we're juicing this month. In fact, we're dancing all year, but yeah. So that's going, but I'd never thought about the actual, my ability to survive on not eating. Oh my God, I would die without food, or some sort of commentary of that ilk would come up, and it's totally not the case. I mean, yeah, the first day, I think it's a good idea when, in retrospect, it's a good idea when you're doing this type of thing, to find 3 days that you're not going to be getting up to too much, that requires too much kind of, normal daily pressure. So it's tough. I own a business, and I've got 2 young children, and my wife and I are, trying to hold sort of space for other people and one another as well. And it's full on. I mean, this is a really full on household to kind of be in. So for me, a retreat space for this juice feast was not this space, but we can't afford to go anywhere else this year for this type of an experience. And in fact, my wife found that there is really no experience like what we're doing. For families especially, because often you have to, as an adult, go away onto retreat as something separate from your family, and this isn't a retreat for individuals, although there could be space created within this environment. But this is what we've done. We've kind of changed our home into a space for resting, I suppose, and transforming, is the best way to kind of put it. Not possible to me without going through this current stage of consuming nutrients. I'm not eating, I suppose I'm drinking juice, but juice is something you drink with a meal. The meal is the food bit, it's not the juice, and it's still working on my head after 7 days, going into my 6 days going into my 7th day. I'm totally aware that I'm not eating anything, but I'm not fussed by it at all. I've watched people eating in front of me in the past, sort of couple of days actually. I've made food for my children most days, I think, at one meal point or another. So yeah, and I've been to the shops constantly, and there's people buying foods, and I watch them with a fair certainty that they're buying these foods for eating. Some of them you can't avoid but eat. You could make juice out of many products, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm able to go into these spaces, and sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's not so hard. It's it gets pretty easy in other stores. Certainly the larger stores, the more prominent sort of supermarket in this country, I'm finding that their stores are actually the most difficult to go through, because there is just so much stuff on the shelves for us to buy for no particular reason, apart from the fact that we can eat it. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of getting into something that I wasn't going to kind of do here. So, but yeah, 8 days juice. Oh, and I think tomorrow is 4 weeks since I stopped using Facebook as anything at all. I kind of just stepped away from that completely. So that was 4 weeks ago, and I did the same thing with Netflix. Although currently I am watching a series that my email, one of my accounts got sent to say the next series of such and such is on, and so I have gone on to Netflix to watch that. But that's, as far as I'm concerned, that is okay. There's nothing else on Netflix at the moment that I can think of that I'm kind of keen to watch. So yeah, tomorrow's day 7 of juicing, Wednesday day 8, and then most likely stepping into raw food for a few days until next Monday, and we'll do another 3 days of juicing and then raw food, and then 3 days of juicing and raw food. And yeah, just holding a very intentional space in this household for a month. I mean, a really intentional space. It starts at 6:30 in the morning. It goes on for, it goes on until it's 5 to 11 just now. So the house shuts down. This is coming up into, it's not 5 to 11, sorry, that clock is fast. It's 10:45. Yeah, we kind of shut down at 11 o'clock, which just means it becomes, there is nothing really happening. It's bed, it's shower, whatever, sleep, just kind of closing the day down in whatever way. But we haven't managed that at all, I think, since we started, and so it's been sort of 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30, these types of times, and we're still getting up at 6:30, and every morning it is getting easier. I feel lighter, brighter. Yeah, it's just kind of cool, actually. So yeah, I wouldn't normally say go juice, but absolutely go juice. It's the bit of, oh, I can't, but I wouldn't be able to not eat blah or for such a length of time. I mean, I've said probably as many reasons, and I've heard 10 times more as to why people can't do without food. Never mind for juicing, but just can't do without food for whatever reason that isn't actually sort of conditional on well-being and nutritionally. But you then you're getting into emotional sort of eating when you start to analyse more the types of foods that we eat and when we eat them and such. And this is something about juicing, is you become really aware of the unconscious habit of picking food up and putting it in your mouth, and it's quite amazing how many times I picked up some like peas from a pod and picked them up and put them into my mouth and bit down and kind of like, oh no, I can't put them back out and into the bin. Little things. I think once found myself with a sliver of watermelon that came off just as I was slicing, and yeah, there was a little sliver, and it was only when I was walking back from the fridge that I realised that I was chewing on something, and it was this little piece of watermelon. So you become really aware, very conscious of the unconscious habits, and that, yeah, I think I said it back at the beginning of this, I'm holding space, and that's really what I'm finding quite cool. So I'm gonna go.